I wrote an article for my blog that was to date the most challenging article that I've ever written. It was challenging because I had finally, only just now, finally was able to articulate an idea that I just couldn't articulate. I tried and I'd fail and I'd give up and I wasn't able to do it. The article is about the end game of productivity. The title of it is The Absolute Upper Limit of Productivity. And I sat with it for 2 days and I was able to keep it as short as 2,000 words. It's as short as I could keep it because it's complicated and it's confusing. And the tricky thing about the study of productivity is that it starts off simple and then we can be seduced by that simplicity, but then as we go deeper and deeper in, it becomes this dark, winding forest. And then when we reach the other end, we discover a deep futility about it. And this futility is so all-encompassing. It's north, west, east, and south, and down, and up. It's totally futile. And then in recognizing the futility, we exit the forest, we exit productivity, and then something very important lies beyond it. There's actually so much beyond productivity that only now am I really beginning to embrace and grapple with and explore. And so I want to tell you about that. I want to tell you about that because I profess to be a productivity coach. It's my job. It's the role I've given myself. It's what I've been doing for maybe 4 or so years when I decided to specialize on it, maybe 5. And as I went into the study of productivity, I went through several phases. I went deeper and deeper into this forest, and then suspecting always in the back of my mind that there's a futile element about it, but partially being unable to articulate it, as I was mentioning, but also unwilling to know it, unwilling to articulate it. So I couldn't, I wasn't able to, but I was also unwilling to, because what the hell would I do once I discover the futility? I would feel even more vulnerable and naked than ever before. So I was delaying this moment as well. But you can only delay this kind of thing for so long before it's time to really look at it. It feels a little bit like death, but of course, it's not really death. Or to put it differently, all death is a doorway into greater existence, greater birth. There's always an imaginary element about death. There's no real such thing as death. The thing that we think death is always just a portal onto something else, something bigger. So I will begin by clarifying, as I always do, what productivity is. The reason why I believe in every video, I talk about productivity and I talk about what it is and the purpose of it. The reason why I do that is because we need to know what the priority is. We need to know what we're doing. We need to know what we're oriented towards. We can't skip this part. There's sort of an of courseness and an obviousness about determining the highest priority, but it's not that obvious and it's not that of course. And it's an absolutely critical navigation piece that will point us in the direction of our highest evolution. If we don't have an orienting principle, then we just get lost in the forest forever. We just get lost in concepts forever, and we don't allow concepts to die. We don't allow ourselves to put on concepts in order to move on to bigger and better concepts, and then ultimately beyond concepts. So we need to know what the priority is. And we need to have one priority. We need to be congruent towards one priority. It can't be multiple priorities. It must be one. I was watching James Bond, Casino Royale, the opening scene when he's like chasing somebody. And I had this sense of envy in that time. You know, this is back in 2006, where James Bond, as he was pursuing this enemy, one direction, one pointed, one thing, Gotta get him. He had a thumb drive or something. I have to get that thumb drive. Nothing else matters. He had to get it. When you have to get it, when it's one thing, everything is pointed at one thing. All of your power comes online. All of the clarity, your mind is totally clear. That's congruence. I'm hosting a workshop on congruence this month, October, this Sunday. I think it's October 26th. I'll get the date for you. But if you're interested in becoming congruent, then join me for that. I'll have information in the details below. So anyways, we need to know what the priority is. And the priority for me, for these videos, for my work, is productivity. And why productivity? Because productivity is getting the thing done. It is actualizing our potential. My personal narrative, so me, Brent, my life is being told as a kid, I have all this potential, growing up, being in school, I have all this potential, and feeling it, knowing it too, and then graduating, and then being like, okay, what now? Now it's time to make good on this potential. It's not that easy, and it's not that simple about how to go about it. And then suddenly, this sense of feeling like I'm failing, or feeling like I'm falling behind, or like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and all of the insecurity and nervousness and fear and like deep existential worry coming as a result of that. Thus dedicating myself to how to have self-discipline, how to get myself to do the thing, how to prioritize, all these things. This is all productivity stuff. So if that's you, if you feel like there's a disparity between what you're capable of and what you're doing, then watch, stay, listen. I've given myself to this study. I've given myself completely to this study. I want to share with you what I found. So this video, I'll be describing what I wrote in the article. So the article will be, I guess, a summary of this, or this video will be a summary of that. That'll be a companion to both. But I want to explore this territory as well of what lies beyond productivity. So I want to, I guess the order that we'll do this in is I will quickly outline the journey into the forest, and then the discovery of the futility, and then we'll discuss what lies beyond productivity. And you'll see me breathing like this because I'm still learning how to be comfortable as I speak like this. So just, if you'll give me a little bit of room as well to be like, there's a lot of energy that's moving through my body as I make videos like these. So the journey is asking, okay, how can I actualize my potential? And in the beginning, the question that we're asking is, how can I get everything done as fast as possible, such as to get the most out of this life? And also in its very, very early stages, there's a lot of egocentrism about it, where we ask, how can I be better than everybody else? How can I do more than everybody else? How can I be more than everybody else? How can I go faster and go harder than everybody else? And the first solution is to go at an all-out sprint, basically permanently. And we'll have, say, one day where we have a really amazing day. We get up early, we do all the stuff, we exercise, and we get a bunch of work done. And then, there's like the afternoon meditation, and then like a whole other thing of work, and we work late into the night. And then we finish that day and we're so invigorated and exhausted and glowing and amazing. We go, great. So all I have to do is that forever. And then we do that, and it doesn't work, because we can't hold a particular state or a particular way forever. And then that crashes and burns and fails. And then we think, oh, well, maybe I didn't try hard enough. So then we do the same thing, but we try harder and it doesn't work. We think, oh, maybe it's the wrong technique or the wrong principle or the wrong idea. And we try different apps, different techniques, different things. And again, we'll get that initial hit, that initial wave of motivation. There's wind at our sails, and then it dies off. And then it doesn't last. And there's no one thing that just seems to create results forever. So we can call that phase one. And then phase two, so like when phase two begins, when you realize, okay, there's something wrong fundamentally with this approach. And the big lesson in going from phase one to phase two is I need to listen to myself. There needs to be communication between different aspects of me. And the priority goes from how can I push myself permanently all the way until I use myself up, until I just consume myself up and I disappear in a puff of smoke, to how to be sustainable. How to create a machine that can sustain itself so that my energy is being restored, so that my needs are getting met. This is the birth of sustainable, high-level productivity. And a major philosophy behind sustainable, high-level productivity is how can I offer my best? So instead of doing everything all the time, it's how can I do my best? Whatever my best is, whatever my best looks like. And for me, the term that I would throw around a lot is full capacity. How can I be at full capacity all the time? And so therefore there's no pressure to be perfect, but the pressure is to give whatever there is to give in this moment, to be at full capacity, to be doing my best. And so then this was a much more mature way of going about it, but then I would still run into basically the same problem where there's a standard being created that I can never quite sustainably meet. And at its very core, the idea of full capacity is still an ego-based sense of control and safety. Safety through control. Because the ego game is if I can be in control, then I'm safe. As long as I know what's going on, and as long as I'm in control, and as long as everything makes sense, then I'm safe. Then I'm okay. Then I can relax. But ultimately, this can't be sustained forever because the process of manifesting our potential, of actualizing our potential, is not something that can be controlled. It's not something that can be masterminded. And basically any technique, even any sort of framework, any sort of method, regardless of how sophisticated it is about manifesting our potential is more complicated than it. And it comes from a deeper intelligence than our own. And therefore, anything that can work on any one given day, it'll become chunky or blocky or too dumb, too gross, like it can't fit through the doorways that we're going through. So it's not really about having a perfect model. It's about having a higher and faster and more efficient refresh rate so that you can be whatever you need to be for that moment. There's still something fundamentally exhausting about being at full capacity. There's still something basically ineffective about it. Because to be at full capacity is still to be manipulating your energy in some way, to be manipulating yourself in some way, to be manipulating your life or your potential. So in order to pass into phase 3, we need to give that up. Phase 3, so if the name of phase 1 is surrender, and if the name of phase 2 name of phase 1 is force, and the name of phase 2 is sustainability, then the name of phase 3 will be surrender. But then first we pass through the futility. So the futility comes from this riddle, which is, what can a farmer do in order to speed up the growth of his crops? What's the answer? The answer is less. The less you do, the more gets done. The less you do, the more gets done. There's this common theme that emerges in the Tao Te Ching, one of the wisest texts that exists anywhere, about not doing and about how things get done. So I have a paragraph of one. This comes from verse 37. At the very top, it's 2 lines. It says, the Tao never does anything, and yet through it all things are done. And in verse 38, 2 stanzas. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but 2 stanzas are, the master doesn't try to be powerful, thus he is truly powerful. The ordinary man keeps reaching for power, thus he never has enough. The master does nothing, yet he leaves nothing undone. The ordinary man is always doing things, and yet many more are left to be done. When it comes to actualizing our potential, the folly behind it as a study is that what we think we're doing when we're being productive is we think that we are getting further along our own life's journey than we otherwise would if we were not being productive. So we think that we're expediting our potential, the manifestation of our potential. It's like we think that there is a button that we can press on the YouTube video, which you may be doing right now, and I don't blame you, where you can listen to this video at 1x speed, or you can listen to it at 1.25x or 1.5x, so a little bit faster. We think that's what we're doing. But that is an impossibility with our potential, with the unfolding of our life. The truth of it is that whenever we attempt to launch or lurch or lean forward in the unfolding of our life, on the unfolding of our evolution, that leaning creates a karma. There's karma attached to it. It's a karmic action where there is a reciprocal backward motion back to the center that is bound to the original forward motion. And you can observe this anywhere where you look for it. It's very obvious. It's very plain. It's the equivalent of drinking more coffee so that you can be more up, so that you can get more work done, and then crashing off of that caffeine later. It's about staying up later to get more work done, but then being extra tired the next day. And then being, off kilter with your sleep, and that effect of being off kilter it enters a feedback loop where it gets more and more exaggerated until the whole operation collapses, and then you're shoved back to the center. So life shoves you back to the center. It'll do it until you learn to do it on your own. So we go through endless iterations of being shoved back to center through our naive attempts to make something happen more quickly than it's otherwise going to happen. And then eventually we go, aha, I need to return to center on my own. And this is phase 2. This is what we're doing in phase 2, sustainability. And then phase 3 is stop leaving center. We learn from phase 2 into phase 3, why am I leaving center? Every time I leave my center, that's when the atrophy begins. That's when the decay begins. And we do it because there's sort of an addictive quality about it. And the addiction is to our own megalomania. The addiction is to the dream that we have some sort of power or control to make any of this happen more quickly than it can. That the corn that we're growing as corn farmers will grow any faster than it's otherwise going to grow. Phase 3 is surrender. Phase 3 is the corn is going to grow as fast as it's going to grow. No quicker, no slower. So there's, of course, more to it than just that. Because it's also the truth that if we just sit around and do nothing, nothing's going to happen. So it's not, a lot of egos at this point will listen to this and go, yeah, but, are you saying just be lazy? Are you saying just lay around? Are you saying it's the law of attraction, so everything will just come and you just do nothing and all will be given? And the answer is no, of course. That's a misinterpretation of the Tao teaching, which is the master does nothing and leaves nothing undone. And I guess let's talk about this now. I want you to really hear this if it's not been made clear before for you. Because this is a very sophisticated idea. It's a very mature idea. When the Tao speaks about, when the Tao says the master does nothing and yet leaves nothing undone, it doesn't mean that the master is motionless physically. What it means is the master operates the way he or she is intuitively guided in that moment. In any given moment, there is the one way. There is one way to operate that is commensurate with what is being requested of that moment. That's congruence. If we're divided, then we're trying to make something happen with our willpower, with our reserve energy, with our force. But when we're congruent, the action that we take, it very clearly feels like there's no doer. And you can draw upon your own memory, your own experience of having had moments like these. There's no human being without multiple memories of having had this experience of flow. And not like, little flickers of flow, like flow, where you're so in flow, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know why you're doing it. You don't know what will happen after. There's a total not knowing, a total unknowing. Don't know why. Don't know what. What is this for? What will I get? I don't know. Will this succeed? I don't know. What would it even look like if it did succeed? I don't know. But there's a call to do it from your guts, from your body, to do it. And you do it. There's no doer. You're just a tool in the hand of God. You're an empty vessel. You're kind of an idiot. And the questions come up, and there's permission and space for the questions to come up. They come and they go. There's doubt. It comes and it goes. There's doubt from the inside. There's questions and doubt coming from outside. People looking at you. Why are you doing this? I don't know. I don't know. The master does nothing. The master just moves in whatever way they're going to move. And yet, as a tool, as a device for the hands of God, nothing is left undone. It's the deeper you go into that, as I've discovered, the deeper I go into that, the more perfectly timed everything is, the more synchronous everything is. There is no bottom to how synchronous all of this can be, to how mysterious and beautiful it can all be. There's no bottom to it. That's the futility of productivity. So, the productivity tools actually still have a place. There's a place and a time for them. To schedule a day, to use focus blocks, the Pomodoro technique. There's a time and a place for that. Like it's not without value. It's not without value. But what we're establishing here is that it won't get you anywhere sooner than you're otherwise going to go. It won't bring any success to you any sooner than it's time for that success to come to you. Realizing this, then we attain a truer and deeper and gnarlier form of success. Like success that's far more real than any other success. In the article, I call it the mother of success. And that's how the article ends, because I really mean it. It's a very strange thing to say, but I really mean it. Like the success, imagine a form of success that's actually the birthplace, the mother, of the rest of all success, the source of all success, like the primary success. That success is discovering that there's nothing other than this. There's nothing to wait for. There's nothing that could happen in your life that is so substantial that it would be better than this. That there's no point to arrive at. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to arrive. There's nothing else besides this. This is the gift. This is it. If you are willing to let this be it, to let this be the gift, this task, this time in your life, these circumstances of your life, with everything that's good about it and everything about it that leaves you wanting and lacking. If you were to stop trying to go somewhere else, if you were to stop trying to mentally, emotionally project yourself into a different time, past or future, here, there, any locality, any location. Stop trying to project yourself somewhere. And let this be it. Then you would plunge deep into flow. And you would be successfully playing in the territory beyond productivity. This is the territory of the magic. This is the territory of miracles. This is the territory of effortlessness. It's the territory of mystery. It's a free fall. A free fall whereupon you also discover there's no ground to fall upon. Just a free fall. There's no loss on the level of the mind. You're not becoming dumb. You're not becoming irresponsible. You're not becoming some sort of weirdo. There's no separation between the intuition and the responsibilities that are truly yours to be responsible for. And for this last part, I hesitate, as anybody would, because as you make this transition, you are dropping your demands and your expectations upon yourself and upon life, upon God, all of which are the same thing. So in other words, we're just allowing demands and expectations and judgments to just fall away. And everything is received. So much that was being held at bay can be received and can flow in. And the reason why we would hesitate to talk about this is because when we do, then the ego's like, oh, I get it. So if I do it, then I'll get the goodies, right? And then the whole thing is, there's a little drop of poison in the well. We have to start over. So instead, why don't you just play in the space beyond productivity? And keep your eye on the prize. Keep your eye on the priority. What are you interested in? Are you interested in a little success, or are you interested in the mother of all success? Choose your priority. Choose it. Choose it definitively. Choose it for good. And then angle yourself towards the one priority. Let me know how it goes. Thank you for watching. It's occurring to me to mention, if you want to join the Congruence Workshop in a couple weeks, join my email list. This is the one reliable way to know for sure how to be notified when it's time to join. It's $25. It's an hour long. You'll get some more info about it. It'll be great. If you want a one-on-one session, it's $5. Link for that should be below. Thank you for watching.